Like, share, and subscribe. Live for Love TV. Oh.
Like, share, subscribe. Live for Love TV. Awesome!
Welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today is the 25th day of the 6th month, the 23rd year inside the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing extremely well out there. Well, recently, over the last, I believe, 10 days, Jamaica has rolled out their new banknotes. The banknotes are basically all the banknotes that they have. So it's a 50 Jamaican dollar, $100. They now have a $2,000, $100, $1,000, sorry, or $2,000 and a $5,000 note. So these are all the notes Jamaica is producing. Now, I suppose that because they're plastic now, they're going to last a lot longer in the system. They won't be torn so easily, if they can be torn at all, and they won't be, defamed or broken apart. So I think that's one of the reasons that most of the countries now around the world have gone with this new plastic money, and it's saved the trees and all that kind of stuff. No problem with that. I'm not against any of that. But it's what, 60 odd years since independence, and you'd think that by now Jamaica would have a company or a printing press that could print its own money. Now, Jamaica is not the only country that doesn't print its own money. There's many countries around the world, but we're talking about Jamaica here. So this company named De La Rue is a company that prints, a British company that prints the Jamaican currency right now, the notes. Obviously, the coins were always printed by the mint in Britain, but now the notes are printed by this company called De La Rue. De La Rue is a company that you will realize used to print passports in the UK up until 2019, when they seemed to lose the contract with the British government for printing passports. They had some trouble also with their own profit margins when they do printing for Venezuela. Venezuela left them with an 18 million pound or 24 point something million US dollars bill they didn't pay. So that put them into a bit of a spin. But they seem to be bouncing back slowly. They still got some problems, but they're bouncing back slowly. And contracts like the Jamaican contract that they've just been given, that they have, that's allowed them to print currencies like Jamaican currency. I think they also print Egyptian currency. And there's some other currencies that they print. But why can Jamaica not print its own money? Why can it not print? Because they're quick to boast and brag about these new currencies, but they're not mentioning how these currencies come about. And why can't a country print its own money? They have the Bank of Jamaica. I don't know, what does the Bank of Jamaica do? They have printing stuff all over the country, So what exactly do these people do? And why would they want any other company to print their money? Wouldn't this be something you would expect that people who are really independent, and not just independent, on paper, but independent minded, would want to do for themselves, print their own money? I don't know why this is such a big problem. I mean, maybe somebody in the comments can explain to me, not who De La Rue is and how these things happen around the world and how they get the contract, why it's not even on the table. Why is no one talking about why does these British company, for instance, why do they have to print Jamaican money? Why does government after government after government change from one government to another, and yet this thing never changes? It's still being printed by a foreign power or foreign companies. Well, I don't understand this. So while they're bragging on one hand about this new money and what it's going to do and all that kind of stuff, on the other hand they should be quietly embarrassed, especially after we're 100 and say 8 to 10 years post Marcus Garvey, who said we should do for self. Somebody they don't like to talk about in Jamaica, somebody they don't like to talk about, they don't even introduce into the schools. This man has a concept, a man who produced his own newspaper at a very young age, in a time when people couldn't do anything for themselves if they were of black ancestry. They struggled to have anything done. He had his own job, his own printing press, he had his own company, he had his own this, he had his own that. I don't understand how 100 odd years later, with independence, because when Marcus Garvey he never saw any independence of Jamaica by the time he had passed away, but he was independently minded. And now we have independent governments, but they're not independently minded. So we have to suffer this constant embarrassment of almost everything we want done on a mass scale has to be done by somebody from outside. It's not really the way to go. It lacks vision, and the fact that they don't even want to talk about it just shows you the kind of mindset that we have still to this day. Things that we argue about, things that we talk about, you know, whether this person should be registered general, should be British, or whether, you know, I mean, what's the point? What's the point of talking about it? We've got chances like this to print our own money and get that done, get something practical done. We're arguing about who the head of state is. It's not because of who the head of state is why we are not printing our own money. That has nothing to do with the British. It's just a British company. It's not necessarily because even the British government don't want to use this company anymore. So what are we arguing about? We argue about silly, petty, minute things, and when it's practical things that could be done to show that we're independent, to show our people, show one another that we can do for self, we just skate over the subject. But anyway, that's another one from me today. Live for Love TV. Tell me what you think in the comments. You know, keep it clean, keep it decent, but tell me what you think in the comments. If you disagree, put it down there. I've got no problem with that. Okay, take care. Live for Love TV.
People, one step more, one step more, one step more, one step more until you reach your goals. One step more. This is Live for Love.